Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Talk for Strength podcast. We've got a person who comes to my attention when Arsenal got into the Champions League final in Budapest. I call her the Belle of Budapest because she's lovely. Arsenal in her heart, Arsenal through and through. And when she came to my attention, it was based on the fact that she started to do helping the Arsenal fans that were going to travel to Budapest. She was helping people with bars, where how to travel, where the fan park was going to be, etc., 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 and routes round to the away end, not the away end, but the Arsenal end. Just basically anything. It was just amazingly helpful. She did it all in her own time. She was walking around with her camera and gained quite a following, I believe. So I'm going to hand over, let Anna. Anna, one thing I've got to ask, I do not know how to pronounce your last name.
It's Lvova.
Lvova. Right, I'm going to hand you over to Anna Lvova. I'm going to ask the straightforward early question that I do on every podcast, and it is, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, please, Anna?
I could, I suppose, now that you've put me very much into a football context. I suppose that's where I'll start.
We have to start somewhere.
Yeah, you have to start somewhere. And I think now it's like more and more sort of a common thing that a lot of women are actually football fans.
Yeah.
But yeah, still I get the questions like, you and football? Like, how did you even get there? Well, to start with, I was born into a family of a maniac football fan. My father was a die-hard football fan. I mean, I don't remember my dad not watching football ever, not playing football ever, and I'm
Yeah.
an only child. So I don't like to say doomed, but I was fated to become a football fan, I think,
Yeah.
from the minute I was born.
Mm.
And back in the childhood days, and I was born in Moscow, I'm Russian by nationality. Back in the childhood days, it was really funny because you know how it is when you have your friends come over and you have a little kid, and it's usually like, oh, please sing us a song or tell us a poem and whatnot. And with us, it was always the little game that we played. That when my father's friends would come over, I would stand in the middle of the room and name every single player on the USSR football team. So yeah, that's as far as it goes. I think from the very very early age, it was like one of the links between me and my dad was always football. My
Yeah.
mother was still is and always was very far away from the topic.
Yeah.
So like the family connection that I had with my dad, amongst other things, was always football.
Mm.
So yeah, so born and bred in the USSR. For
Yeah.
6 years as a kid, I lived in India.
Oh, wow.
And that was, I think, when I got a little bit of an introduction, without even knowing it, into a bit of an English culture because my dad was a diplomat, so there was a lot of mingling back in the days. They used to play football with
Yeah.
the English diplomats, so it was always a very international community.
Yeah.
I studied at the university in Malta for 5 years, which is an ex-British colony. Hello,
Yeah.
England again, and the whole
So
little
you're an Anglophile. Anna's an
yeah,
Anglophile.
and the little island in the Mediterranean, I think until today, is divided into two football parts.
Yeah.
Half of it supports Italy, half of it supports England.
Right.
So it's very historical and geographical sort of
Mm.
proximity, and I was always on the English side
Yeah.
somehow. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Spent most of my life in communications in the financial institutions.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that remained constant from the childhood years has always been football.
So you know what question's coming next. Why Arsenal?
Oh, my favorite story, which brings me back to the little island in the Mediterranean. Actually, that's when it happened. It's back in the student years. I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was 1998. And I was actually traveling every summer, like I was going home for the holidays. And I used to buy a lot of magazines at the airport just to pass the time on the plane and to read something. And foreign press back in those days was still quite a rare occasion, like back in Moscow.
Mm.
And I used to always pick some sports magazines so I can give them to my dad afterwards to read as well,
Yeah.
because I knew he loved them. And I picked up a magazine. I don't remember which one exactly it was, but there was a lot of stuff about football, so I picked one of those, and I was reading it on the plane, and there was an interview with Arsene Wenger.
Okay.
And that interview was something like which really touched my heart, because he spoke about football in such depth and with such inspiration,
Yeah.
just as much as my dad and I used to talk about football.
Mm. With a passion.
And I got home, I got the mag out, and I told my father, "You have to read this." I told him, "This guy is like, I don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
Literally didn't know anything. I didn't watch the Premier League back then.
Mm.
I was
Sorry, what year would you say this was?
98.
Oh, no, so it only just really been here a year
Yeah,
or
yeah.
two.
So it was 98, and I told him, "But you have to read the way this guy talks about football. This is like really our sort of vibe around
Yeah.
football."
Mm.
And yeah, and I think my dad had just gotten like the satellite TV that year or something. These things started to appear, post-Soviet stuff, and I told him, "I want to see the team this guy actually manages, because he is really like, this whole philosophy of football is really something very interesting." So yeah, I think that's literally sometime at the end of August, before I took off back for the island to continue with my studies. I sat down just to watch a game of Arsenal,
Mm.
and that was it. The rest, as they say, is just history.
Yeah, the rest is history. So, have you managed to get to Highbury or the Emirates?
Yes, Highbury,
Yeah.
no. The Emirates,
Right.
I've been to a number of times. So yeah, it was at a much later stage. I think, I can't remember the first. I think it was maybe 2004, something like that. That was the first time I went, and I've been to a number. I've been to Munich once, to one of our legs against Bayern, which we at some point had, I think, every Champions League season.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been to the Emirates a number of times. I actually even went once to one of those exhibition plays in summer in Helsinki, in Finland,
Right.
to one of our away games. So yeah, I've seen the boys a few times. Even saw them in Moscow against CSKA Moscow
Right, okay.
when they had the away legs there. So yeah, it's something very special. But I do remember my first entrance into the Emirates, and that was emotionally something. You know, you watch it on TV, and you sort of think you have an idea,
Yeah.
but you don't.
Mm.
I mean, the minute you walk out and you see the whole thing in front of you, it's definitely one of the most magical moments of my life, I
Yeah.
think.
It's a shame you never got to see Highbury, because Highbury was one of the most underrated.
Yeah.
When they used to call it the Highbury Library, I don't know who come up with that, because it was as good as any, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I'm sure.
And
it was.
there's a lot of clubs out there that are severely overrated, like, you know, Anfield under the lights in the Champions League game. They sing "You Never Walk Alone," and that's it. You know, it's not particularly. It's not like going to Dortmund. When
Yeah.
you're in Dortmund and you start singing a song as the away fans, they are so loud they almost take your breath away. You know, Highbury wasn't like that, but it was very special. But when I started to, I knew what Wenger was, and I won't say too much bad about him in case you slam your laptop down, and because you may have him in. But I was one of the ones who loved him. You know, you've stayed too long now. You know, hand it over, please. And but irrespective, I went to Bad Waltersdorf in Austria for a pre-season, and I started hearing about the drinking water at, you know, ambient temperature. All of the things that, you know, English players were eating, egg and bacon, you know, having fry-ups, and straight from training in the afternoon, they were going out on the piss and having a drink and sweating the beer out the next day at training again. So he was something special. but then just went a little bit too far. With, in my opinion, just an arrogance, just that little bit of he never back to Premier League. There was things that he had these big men like Vieira, Petit, um, Perez. They were all of a 6 foot standing or above, and then he played the same football with Robert Perez, and there was things that you looked at and you went, God. But then again, that's and another thing with you saying about going to the Emirates, I think growing up at the top of Holloway Road, you take everything for granted, and then when you see the foreign fans come in and how much it's taken to get a ticket, and I don't mean finances, I mean
No.
just getting one, and then the passion you've got, it's actually it makes you realise how big a football club we are.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I've been to London like many more times than I've actually visited the Emirates.
Yeah,
But every time I make it a point, I go, even if there is no.
yeah, just
I
walk
just
around.
walk around.
Yeah,
It's something incredibly special. You just walk around, you look at the plates on the ground, you look at the statues, and you just even going out of the metro and seeing the sign that it's us.
yeah. Well, I'm one of them that was never into wearing football shirts in England. I never had football shirts, and in Germany, I walk around with an Arsenal shirt on. Not because we won the league. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of as you get older as well. As I've got older, I'll put my son in an Arsenal shirt, even though I think he's going to be a ballerina, and I stick an Arsenal shirt on, and it's
No, I
yeah,
think
you just become kind of incredibly proud. And I do what you've been doing as well. When I go to England now, or even in the summer, I'll drive past the stadium, I'll drive past the cannons. I might even stop and do a selfie or whatever. Why, I don't know, because I've been in there a million times. But
no, but
I think because I live in Germany now, you never know whether it's going to be the last time sort of thing. And that's not being morbid, but
no, but I think it's a great also feeling of belonging to a really great community.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And it is. And Bad Waltersdorf in 2009 made me very aware of that community, because I ended up with friends from the Nordics, friends that I'm still in touch with, and we still WhatsApp, from Italy, Austria. It just, they know things about Arsenal that I don't know,
yeah,
and they recall things about a game that I can't remember. I can remember the game, but I can't remember the actual, and sometimes you feel a little bit, God, they're into it more than me. Not that it's a competition, but they love it. They love it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and it does make you realise how big we are, and
Absolutely.
getting bigger and getting
I
bigger.
remember, I mean, the way I got into like the international community sort of, because we had a very big fan base as well in Moscow.
Yeah.
There are like Moscow Gunners, and we would go to pubs and we watch games together, and everyone in the shirts with the flags. And I'm still in touch with some of the guys. We've known each other for years.
Yeah.
But again, with the start of social media, it became much easier as well, because I remember like the biggest community I got into at first, that's how I got to know people and people got to know me, was through Twitter.
Yeah.
And that's when we all used to hang like mid 2000s, like towards like 2008, 9.
Yeah.
And it was massive. I mean, you could sort of gain followers, and you could sort of talk to people all the time. And that's how I actually used to even get my tickets when I would go to London, for example, on a business trip, and there would be a game, and I'm like, can anybody help?
Yeah.
And within an hour, you sorted.
Yeah.
Like, we go to Tolly for a drink, and that's it. You come there, it's a huge community, everybody's shouting, oh, yeah, I know who you are.
Yeah.
And that's what happened in Budapest now as well. I mean, like 2 weeks online, sort of coming out, helping people, showing them the way. And the fan park for 3 days. I mean, I couldn't walk past without somebody actually shouting out to me like, "Oh my God, you that Anna?" Yes, I am. Like, let's hug. Thank you so much. Like for
The
your
Bella Budapest.
So, that was, and that's us. That's what the community is all about,
So how did you end up in Budapest for it? Was it work, relationship, or
It was work. Actually, yesterday marked my seventh year here.
Right.
I moved in 2019, just before the pandemic started, like about 6 months before. I came with work,
Mm.
and I was employed with an international bank back at the time. I headed their communications department, and so we relocated like a team partially because there were some countries which were shareholders of the bank, and Hungary was one of them. So
Mm.
we moved the team partially to Europe because there were a lot of operations back then here. So yeah, that's how I ended up here 7 years ago. But what now? 3 years ago, due to geopolitics
Mm.
and stuff like that, because Russia was a shareholder in the institution, still is.
Yeah.
A lot of difficulties came through, including sanctions. So the bank left,
Yeah.
and I decided that I am going to
You
stay
like it.
behind. So
And I
yes,
take it you're fluent in Hungarian.
no,
No. Oh, right, okay.
no. My
I was going
Hungarian.
to say that must be some talent to be able to 7 years and you're banging away, got your own business and everything else. So,
Yeah, right now it's been for past 3 years. It's been just me freelancing, consulting, coaching, whatnot.
mm,
I got like my coaching certification. I'm starting to do things on my own, but no, I'm very far from being fluent in Hungarian.
okay.
It's a very difficult. Although being a Russian speaker, I shouldn't be talking because that's
Yeah.
another very difficult language. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not as good as like to be working in it. But
Mm.
English helps, and
Yeah.
plus the
I think for us, when
taught
we
us to
hear
work online
a
as well. So you,
a Polish person talking or a Russian talking or a Romanian talking, we just go, they're Russian. We can't.
yeah,
So is there no likeness from Hungarian to
no,
Russian with
no, absolutely
the
not.
Eastern Bloc?
It's actually like it's in the group of languages with the Finnish,
Yeah.
but the Finnish say that literally not much it has to do with the Finnish language. So it's just the same group of languages, but it doesn't sound anything like any other language,
Okay.
including like the very international words. For example, like which would everywhere else in the world be kind of, or in Europe at least, be very similar, like the pharmacy or the police.
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
totally different words.
Okay. Right. So going back to your dad, did you talk him into being an Arsenal fan?
No,
Oh,
no,
not even a little tiny bit.
no, no. What
Oh,
he treated Arsenal with a lot of respect,
yeah.
and
Did
the
he have an
thing is,
English
I think
team?
what really helped, he didn't really have a team he supported in the Premier League. So that he loved watching the Premier League, but he was always like very neutral with regards to a team.
Yeah.
He was a huge Juventus fan, so he used
Okay.
to watch Serie A a lot. And in Russia, he would support Dynamo Moscow, and that was like his club from the childhood years.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, we never, even in the leagues like we would watch together, we never supported the same teams. Somehow the history always brought us like to different teams. Like he was a
Yeah.
Juve fan, I was an AC Milan fan in Italy. Like I used to love those
Probably
guys.
got to do with you being a daughter and him being a father. There's
Probably.
always going to be a
Yeah. In Russia, he was blue and white for Dynamo. I was always red and white for Spartak Moscow because his best friend supported Spartak, and
Mm.
somehow we made a pact when I was very little.
Yeah.
So it was funny, but it
So you made a pact for pocket money.
yeah, it made things more fun like that, sort of.
Yeah. Well, this next section, I hate having to do this, but it is what the podcasts are about. And we are about mental health, and we are about taking not the goodness from other people's struggles, but the help from other people's struggles. Could you please tell us about your dad, what happened, and your journey to where we are today,
Yeah.
please?
So it's what now? 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Back in 2014, on a nice spring day. It was April, and it was just 5 days after my birthday, because I'm an April baby as well. My dad, now I understand that after having struggled for a very long time with his mental health, took his life. I received a phone call from my mom who was crying her eyes out, and she told me that basically they lived a bit in the countryside. They had like a private house, and he shot himself in the garden.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. And so, yeah, I remember that day like it was yesterday, though 12 years had passed. And I also remember that at that point in time, I think hearing my mother like in a very obviously emotional state because she was there. I took a decision of blocking all the emotions at the time, and I just went there and went on about any business that you have to go on at that point in time. So I really remember the day like it was, strictly business. I walk in, okay. Luckily, the paramedics had already been there and he was taken away. I didn't see him. And until today, I'm very grateful that at that point in time, I had to spend some time actually getting there because it was in the countryside, so I had to go all the way from the city there. So
Yeah.
I managed to arrive when he was not there already. So I had to seeing my mother absolutely in shambles, like, and I am the only person who's next in line to take care of things, like even bureaucratically, hospitals, funeral arrangements, whatever. I was okay. So here we go. I have to do the business now, and I went on and did it. After years had gone by, I understand that that was a huge mistake, but we learn the way we learn, I suppose. So
Yeah.
that was it. And I just went on about all the arrangements I could, not allowing myself to feel things, acting out of very rational sort of decisions that I had to take, trying to keep an eye on my mom. And I remember that I just went on about it. There was, now thinking back, there was a lot of emotions were there. There was despair, there was a lot of anger. I couldn't understand how he could do it, how he could just leave and not even, I don't know. How it was a lot of anger at myself because okay, back in the days I was already like 37, so we lived our separate lives in separate. I had my own family already then, and the kids and everything. So it was not like we were in the same house, but I was still very angry at myself that I didn't see it coming. How could I not like notice?
Was he still working, or
He was
had he retired?
working. He was working, but he didn't like. He ran his own sort of business
Okay.
at the time. I knew he was not doing well,
Okay.
business-wise. But my father is, just so we understand, he's from the region in Russia, which is in the south, and this is a very strong patriarchic community. Sort of
Yeah.
men there, from the historical point of view, are always at the top of the chain. So it was like, so you understand. I still remember when I used to go there to visit my grandparents and the family. I still remember the days where women would sit at separate tables.
Oh wow.
So it was, the men are there with the eldest at the head of the table. It was always the hierarchy, the eldest in the family, and they were like, we are very big families there.
Yeah.
Like if you have a people with the same surname, it's not a coincidence. You
Yeah.
are related
Yeah.
one way from or another. So it was a very patriarchal. So men and dignity of men back in that culture are something which is very much on top of the chain. So for him, I understand that even if I nagged him or asked him like what was wrong, what not, it was always very plain answers. Yeah, there are some problems, but I'm dealing with it. That's it. That's as much as you would get. He would never
So where-
go, you know.
So where I promote the saying it's not weak to speak, in that at that level where they were from and their age
Yeah.
group as well, they would class that as complete weakness if they were to
Absolutely.
talk.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
especially in front of a woman.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm sure that, okay, with his friends here and there, they knew more than I did.
Yeah.
Or his brother at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, when afterwards, like I was talking to him. But With me, never. Especially, I mean, in front of a daughter. Like,
Yeah.
for him, it would be losing sort of his dignity in his face.
Mm.
But I still was like, I still had a lot of anger aimed at myself that I didn't see anything coming.
So how long would you say this keeping it together through being busy lasted? Did you get to a stage where it kind of all
A
poured out
really
without
long
you even
time. You
realizing
know
that was the
what? It
cause?
was a really long time.
Oh,
It
wow.
was 4 years
Okay.
before I actually started to feel. And what triggered the emotional part was the World Cup in Moscow,
Okay.
in
Oh,
Russia, in
right.
2018. He died in 2014. And
Mm.
he died 3 months after we found out the World Cup will be in Russia.
Okay.
I remember that I called him the minute I heard the news. And
Mm.
we were so excited about this whole thing, like
Mm.
that we would actually get to witness
Yeah.
this huge this huge thing, like, and we would actually be able to probably see something live and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I walked into that World Cup with one ticket.
Mm.
I had one game ticket for one of the first games, Germany Mexico, I remember. And I ended up going to six. I was hunting down tickets online like a mad woman, like
Yeah.
refreshing the website and everything. And I
Yeah.
ended up like experiencing this as much as I could. I even went to two different cities, like in Russia, just to watch the games.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting, it was after the semi final between England and Croatia. God
Mm.
bless English football, which they lost, unfortunately. It Yeah, the football didn't come home that year, but
Yeah.
still to make an appearance.
Yeah.
But I remember I sat in the stands for a long time, and that was the first time I actually cried for my father,
Mm.
and that was four and even like a bit more than 4 years from the moment he died.
Was there any lasting effect of that outpouring? Did it start leading into other things, or did it?
Um, it wasn't, I think. Um, it was more that from that moment on, I allowed myself to think about it more often.
Yeah.
Because it was a complete, I think, blockage
Right. Okay. So
until,
was you thinking more of the good times you had with him and
yeah,
still getting rid of any of
yeah.
the
And,
bad
and
thoughts?
here it was more about that I allowed myself sort of to go there a bit and to
Yeah.
think about it and
Yeah.
to try and figure out. Because, I mean, again, he passed away with a lot of consequences for me and the family.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of obligations which I undertook
All right.
after he left. And there were a lot of, it was a very difficult time as well, because a lot of things started to open up and a lot of facts started to open up which I had no idea about. So it was, with every layer, it was like my life was getting much more difficult.
Mm.
Though he left a letter which said, like, okay, now I'll go and you guys can live your life in peace.
Yeah.
And that was far from truth.
Far from it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, after that it was, I sort of allowed myself to reflect more on this.
Mm.
And in 2024, 2 years ago,
Mm.
I got into the hands of a very good therapist finally. And that's when it poured out of me,
Right. Okay.
10 years later. And honestly, until today, one of the best moments of my life. I haven't felt such relief ever. And he told me, I remember it was a he, and he told me, this is the moment which will define everything from now on.
Yeah.
Because he told me, for how long have you been carrying all this? I told him 10 years. He told me, you don't have to anymore.
Mm.
And
Did you have negative thoughts towards seeking help before you
yes,
decided that was?
yes,
Yeah. Did you? I'm asking you questions based on my thought process. Did you have? Well, unless that psychiatrist has lost a parent the way I lost a parent, with all the onion layers of what is he going to know about what I'm going through? Was you thinking that?
No, for me it was different.
Mm.
For me, it was more about me than
Yeah.
about another person. For me, at the time, the thought of seeking help
Yeah.
in this process was a sign of weakness.
Yes. Yes. So you had it, even being a female, you had it inside you.
And I was like, yeah, well, I can manage on my own. The thing is that I could manage on my own,
Mm.
but I did
It's
realize
causing damage.
at one point that
Yeah.
the damage at some point got to such an extent that I didn't want to manage on my own anymore.
Yeah.
I realized that if I keep going, it's gonna ruin me, ruin my kid,
Yeah.
and every single thing that sort of I'm doing in this life is just going to decrease in quality dramatically, and the quality of life is going to go down if I keep
Yeah.
sort of pulling everything behind me on my own. It just became unbearable at one point.
Yeah.
And you don't
Well,
realize it until you've actually reached, I think it sort of had to stock up inside of me
Yeah.
for me not to have any capacity to hold it anymore. You sort of start to feel that even your body can't take it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I was told 2 years ago that I had PTSD, which was the reaction of this disease, and you really need to go and see someone. My initial reaction to my doctor was, I cannot believe you've been lucky enough to find a psychiatrist that's had spinal jaw or arteriovenous fistulas. And he looked at me, being a German as well, and he went, sorry? I said, well, what's this geezer going to know about what I'm going through if only 365 people out of 85 million in Germany get it, and I've been seeing professors that can't deal with it, and you found a psychiatrist who went, okay, I get the point. But that's what I wanted. I wanted, if someone was telling me to go and see someone, I wanted that person to have lived through what I'm living through. Otherwise, he hasn't got a clue. That was naive, that was anger, that was stupidity. And I will say it on here, I've opened my soul up to it. 6 weeks ago, I started to see someone. And I told him yesterday when I went to visit him, which was the second time after the break for the holiday, I said to him that every day at 2:00, when I come to see you, I'm thinking, shall I text him and counsel?
Yeah.
Right? And every time I leave you, I actually feel like that. And when my missus has said to me, oh, what did you speak about? Sometimes I can't even recall it. It's almost like I'm exercising myself. When I start to talk, it's almost like I can't remember what he's saying, but I feel that whatever I am saying is coming from inside me, and it's going to a person that's, just the candles on when you get there. Would you like a drop of water? At first you think, oh, this is a bit poncy. I don't like all this. And then it started, and it was just, so it's a big thing to make the step.
Oh, absolutely.
But I've got no shame in saying this on the podcast that, I had to seek help, and I'm currently going through it. And,
but
and it's because I need it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because for me back then, it was a sign of weakness. Now I understand how much strength and courage it requires to seek for help.
Yeah.
It's so far from the sign of weakness.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
And that's what I say to people when I do this. It's not weak to speak. It takes a big pair of kahunas for a steel erector or a concrete fixer or whatever to go to his foreman or his manager and say, look, I'm struggling. Because all of a sudden their foreman's thinking, well, I can't trust him no more. I can't trust him with that equipment. I can't trust him up there. So therefore you're not going to go and do it. So it is bravery.
It is.
It is bravery.
And with me, it was, again, like my dad, after he left, there were a lot of things left to deal with. Like, I've dealt with all sorts of people, including some, creditors of his. It turned out that got a lot of debt and stuff like that. And there were people who would show up at my doorstep at 9:00 in the evening demanding money. And after took me about 7 years to resolve everything sort of I knew and to get rid of those people and just
Yeah.
to keep them away from my family. And I said to myself at some point, yeah, well, I've dealt with that. So yeah, there's nothing more I need,
Yeah.
but I've dealt with that.
Yeah. And then you need to deal with
Just
yourself.
piling everything up again on top of my father's death and everything, and it would just like a snowball. And it became so big at some point, I realized I can't move forward anymore because it's just blocking everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, that step where you sit down and you say, maybe I don't need to be sort of on my own anymore. If
Yeah.
I understand that I cannot, I don't want, not even that I can't, I can, but I don't want to do this on my own anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you make that step, and you never look back. You just say, yeah, that's
Well, my doctor said to me once, if I didn't know you had reactionary depression and it was coming to terms with disability and everything else, and my career slowly but surely being taken away from me, I would get you sectioned. They don't use the word sectioned in Germany, but I would get you put into a clinic.
Yeah.
You would, you start talking to people and start trying to get through this. But because I know it's reactionary, and I know you know why it's happening,
Yeah.
we're going to start looking at different things. And it is everything about it's hard. When you look at my plans to not be here, you've told me about something that is something I wouldn't think of, which was about the layers of what's left behind, debt, finding secrets out about the business, blah, 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 blah. I was looking at it purely that I've got a young son and an older son, and grandchildren would be saying to my older son, I've not got grandchildren yet, but eventually I hope that they do appear. Oh, what happened to granddaddy? Blah, blah, blah. He's not going to say, well, he jumps off a bridge, is he? He's not, he can't say that to a kid. And then my little boy, who's 7 now, will grow up with, well, daddy couldn't have loved me that much. I know he was in pain. He sees me in pain. He sees what I go through, but he couldn't have loved me that much if he, so there's always the how do you word it? There's always not just the excuse, the reason not to do it is the underlying what everyone's going to get left with, in my opinion. There's no one who's going to go and do this, or very few people that are going to go and do this, that it wouldn't affect.
Exactly.
In the long term.
And the thing is that from what I understood, again, unfortunately, this was not the only case in my family, because my husband, 5 years later, went on and did the same thing.
Oh, wow.
Different way of executing, but
Yeah.
it was a suicide as well.
Yeah.
And the thing is, having left notes behind, both of them, they had such an illusion of what this act would give to
Yes.
others.
Yeah.
It's a complete sort of picture, the way they justify this whole thing to themselves in order to execute it. It has nothing to do with the reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Definitely.
if somebody actually went and spoke about it, maybe there would be somebody who would tell you that it's a complete illusion. It's not going to be like that. The problems are not going to disappear just because you are.
Yeah.
And you, it actually would put more pressure on the people that you love, who you think you're liberating with this act.
Yeah.
It's really not. But
Yeah, I agree.
in the mind frame that I suppose you are when you are at a stage like that, you just prefer to keep that illusion as a truth to yourself.
Yeah. Well, in my book, I write in detail about the places that I would do it. Very well planned, if I'd done it in England, I knew the road I would do it on. I'd be typing a text. I'd be coming back from Arsenal. I'd be typing a text to one of my mates saying, oh, that was crap, or that was great. Throw the phone down in the footwell, right? Hit a lorry head on that's coming up one of the hills from Dover. Now, very well planned. Again, people probably get fed up with hearing it from me. The Eder Dam in Germany. I went there yesterday to post a video. I'm going to post it tomorrow.
Okay.
about the detail and explaining it's got a curve on it. And I've stood there for hours looking over thinking, well, if I did jump, am I just going to barrel roll all the way down, smash myself to pieces and probably not, you know? And what I'm trying to explain to people is in this, you are thinking in such a detailed, you know, you've got to make sure you die. They're one and foremost, right? You've got to make sure you die. And once you've decided that I get one more knockback, one, you know, a professor tells me we can't do any more, or all the hope has gone forever, one more, and I'm going to do it. But you don't want to get to the stage where that happens and think, what am I going to do now? So you pre-plan, which I did. I pre-planned. And your mind works in a way that everyone will be better off without you. And until you get that eureka, my eureka was my son's best friend. I remember having a conversation with him years prior when I was fine. And he was telling me about his dad killed himself when he was 2. And Harry was still affected to this day. He's 28 now.
Yeah.
Still affected by it now. And as soon as I see him for the Euros 2 years ago, they come over to Dusseldorf. I was sitting in a hotel. As soon as he walked in with his brother, I looked at him and it was like a light bulb went off. It was like, bing. You know, it was weird. It was, and it weren't like, you can't do that, Alan, because of him. But over a period of going to bed that night, then the night after, then the night after, then them going home, it was, you're not doing anyone a favour. You doing what these people have done is not benefiting any of us.
Definitely.
You know, you'll be better off without me. You won't have to go through the hospital appointments. You won't have to have me snapping back at my wife because I'm in a particular amount of pain. You know, it's not doing anyone a favour.
No, and the thing, it has such a long-term effect.
Yeah. So let's go on to your deciding on your coaching career. And
yeah, well, I think that's really, now that I think about it, it had a lot to do with what happened with my father first and foremost, because I think at that point in time, even if he sort of showed signs that he needed my help, I wouldn't be able to provide it, because I myself was not ready to do that sort of thing. I understand that even back in the days, I was probably going through some sort of very rough patches without realizing and whatnot. But what I realized at some point, the coaching career came very unexpectedly, I would say. Like, I was trying to look for what things I want to do, what I'm good at, what I enjoy doing, and with having like retired after 20 something years, having resigned from a job, and just stepping into the unknown to keep the safety. Like, I didn't want to go back to the country which was in the middle of a war, and because I have a son who is now 16, and I said, no, I love where I live, he loves it here, and if I can sort of remain, let's just try and do it. And then what happened was, I realized that I was always about sort of people, and people always came to me throughout my life, like to seek advice, to have a chat, whatnot, and I always welcomed it, sort of, and provided the way. Not very masterful with regards to maybe some, but with time I realized that I might take an interest in something like that. Like, I realized I'm not going to go into psychiatry or psychology. Like, I'm not the person who would sit and sort of bathe in those traumas of other people. That would be probably a bit too much for me. But I did like the idea that I might be somebody who would help people see a way out.
Yeah.
And this is what a coach does, sort of. You kind of help a person build that sort of inner strength to move forward towards some goals, dreams, and whatnot, or to just answer a question, what do I do next?
Yeah.
And having sort of gone into studying coaching and getting a certification, I realized that that's something which is so responding in my heart. And not having people just come here and say, okay, look, I think I'm stuck. I need to think with somebody, because what we do as coaches, I mean, we don't give advice, or I'm
Yeah.
not sitting there and teaching them people how to
Yeah.
live. I don't. I just provide a safe space
Mm.
for people to be able to be honest in answering questions to themselves first and foremost.
And let them talk themselves into the
Exactly.
answers sometimes.
No, but
They've
that's
got the answers in there.
well, they're always in there.
Yeah.
Always. Somewhere at the back of your head, they're there. But you don't sometimes have the courage to honestly speak
Yeah.
one-on-one with yourself. Or you don't have, you need somebody to sit next to you to do it. Or you need somebody to ask you a question which you would not ask yourself.
Yeah.
Just to get that answer out and to be absolutely sure that the person next to you is not running away from the contact.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot, there are a lot of emotions usually related to an honest dialogue with yourself, starting from shame. I'm too ashamed to say something, like even to myself, my God, if I admit it now, I mean, like it makes me a bad person or something. So it's that provision of space for other people to have an honest sort of dialogue with themselves and to just let themselves go a little bit in admitting where they are right now. Because that's the thing about moving forward. Until you fully accept where you are, like blatantly and honestly, at least to yourself, that
And be prepared to let go of what's holding you back.
this is the point I'm at.
Mm.
Whatever I've been dragging has no use to me anymore.
Yeah.
Because really and truly, it is like, I don't know. You've got the latest model of iMac, and you're getting out a diskette from 1985, and you're trying to shove it in there because I mean, what's used is there. The why I like to go to the past, for example, with my clients, is to get the strengths out.
Yeah.
Tell me a success story. How did you do it?
Yeah.
What did you do? What
Yeah.
internal sort of features of your character helped you get there, helped you to be successful? Because that's the arsenal, pun intended, that the person has.
Good girl, get it in there.
Yeah, because that's the arsenal you have to move forward. And nobody can take that away from you. No circumstance and nothing. If you are a person who's got a quick mind, who can come up with ideas and is not afraid to test them, you'll always be that person.
Yeah.
So it's people sometimes need somebody to show them how much they have and how much stronger they are, how much sort of capability they have based even on the previous experience, because our brain is wired in such a way that we love to see the negatives. But focusing on the positives is not something which comes to us very naturally. I mean, I'm very quick about beating myself up if something doesn't work out the way I wanted, but it takes a lot of sort of, and a certain mindset, a lot of work on myself to sit down and actually accept my successes.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I teach people. Everything in life is about focus. Whatever you focus on, if you're going to wake up in the morning and think, oh my God, there's another shitty day coming, it's going to be a very shitty day.
Oh yeah, very much so.
And if I wake up and say, okay, here's a Tuesday, let's see what nice things this day holds. And you're going to start noticing the nice things if you wake up with that thought. So it's like a muscle you train. The brain is just, you know, it's very flexible. Yeah, it requires a lot of effort.
Yes, it
to
does.
rewire the way you think or you look at life, or is this world full of danger, or is this world full of opportunities for me?
Yeah.
So
Like me having my brain work successfully to get me through a happy day, which I've not had recently. I've had a few bad ones. Is as hard as any gym workout someone will have in the morning going to the gym. And you try and explain that to someone and they would never understand it. And then once I pull myself out of this rut, which has been pain induced, I'm not looking for problems, it's pain induced and it hurts. Other parts of my body feel better.
of course.
You know, so when I'm more bubbly, I feel less issues. When I'm just laying around a bit and feeling why me, it all seems to start breaking down,
Of course.
and it's harder to pull myself out.
Absolutely, but that's the way
And
it all
that's
works.
why I feel with not so many counsellors I've seen, but you know, coaches like yourself in the business sector, I've sat and listened to them before, and they've almost let you go all of these ways round to telling you the exact answer to the question they asked at the beginning. And there was very little input from the coach, just,
Yeah.
you know, the skills and the training they've had, just to let you or encourage you to flow and flow a bit more.
Absolutely, but
And I've
that's the
found,
way it
I
works.
mean,
Yeah.
the question I'm going to ask you now is, you did your 27 years in the position you did before the Russian bank pulled out. Do you find this so much more rewarding than anything in that 27 years, or is
Yes,
it
in
too
a
big a
way. You
question?
know, I think that's a good question. The thing is that I was lucky enough to sort of always find purpose in what I was
Yeah,
doing, even back in the 27 years. It was not all about, you know, it was a lot about giving the companies I worked for like a
yeah,
lot of my skill, time, and energy. And sometimes it was a lot of things where you had to maybe sometimes go against yourself
yeah,
because your way of thinking or dealing, though I was always sort of, a lot of the times I was lucky with my superiors, even that they had enough. Again, it's all sort of results of my work as well, how I built my reputation, that people would listen to what I had to say.
yeah,
Sometimes we agreed, sometimes we didn't, but there was always a lot of respect and a lot of willingness to listen to my opinion.
yeah,
But I think here is something where you see the results of your work a little bit faster.
yeah,
You know, it's like you say, a person comes into the session like either very deep in thought or very frustrated or
mm,
whatnot. The person can't find an answer and they walk out an hour and a half later, and it's
mm,
just complete levels of energy.
yeah,
And it's an energy exchange as well, because
mm,
you kind of, you give energy but you receive from the person as well.
yeah,
Once you see
mm,
what's happening in front of you, these are very beautiful processes,
yeah,
I find. And when the way I see it really and truly is, at some point in my grown up life I took a decision to be the light.
yeah,
And when I light other people,
mm,
that's all I want to see. I mean,
yeah,
that's the purpose.
yeah,
That's the purpose. And it doesn't matter what happens around me right now. I mean, there'll always be cruelty. There will
yeah,
always be dark days even for me. I mean, I'm human. I'm not
mm,
all la-di-da, you know,
mm,
365 days a year. Yeah, there are days when I feel sorry for myself.
yeah,
But again, I know how to hold the dialogue and give myself time to feel sorry for myself.
mm,
I accept it. I mean, I don't fight it anymore because,
yeah,
yeah, it's a bad day. Yeah, okay, let's have a bad
mm,
day today.
yeah,
It is what it is. But again, here it's a lot of reward because I am starting to understand. For me, it's much. I think because of that, for me, it's much sort of deeper, sort of on a mission and values level.
yeah,
Because there, he didn't have somebody
mm,
who could show him that it was not as bad as he thought it was,
yeah,
you know. And
yeah,
now I can do that for people.
mm,
And the fact that I can and I provide support and that I share the light, and when I say one of my favorite phrases that I tell to people, there is always a way out.
yeah,
It's not always the one you think it is, but there's
mm,
always a way out. There's always, you will find a solution if you want to find it. And knowing I can do that and be that safe space where people would come and find their solutions inside
mm.
their head, that's very rewarding indeed.
You couldn't have found a better way to end this, could you? There's there's always a way out.
Always.
That's brilliant. Always. Well, I'm going to thank you. The time is about right for
Yeah.
these. We don't want to of people drifting off. I want them to be intent listeners. So as your training has taught you and my training has taught me, there's periods of time where we lose audiences, etc., etc. So this has been absolutely fantastic. I cannot thank you enough, especially for the honesty in something that's been so deep and so hard on you. And the Bella Budapest.
Yay.
What a name you've just been nicknamed.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invite.
You're welcome.
It was really a wonderful dialogue, which I enjoyed immensely. And yeah, see, that's why I love the community we're in, and that brought us together. It just makes you meet the most wonderful stories and hear the most inspiring stories, which help you move forward as well. So
and for all the bad that's going on out there, there's good people that are.
Yeah.
There's more good than bad.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Keep shining.
Always. And you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much. Thanks.
Bye-bye.